Hey guys, Kuzo here, back with another stream. I'm going to be throwing up some links here like always real quick. Got a little itch on the neck. Let's see how fast we can do this time. Rush, 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 rush. Oh, is it going to be a record? Is it going to be a record? No, it's not. I already feel the slowness of the link throwing. There we go. We done with that link posting. What is up, everyone? Rolling in. King Green, Mayonnaise Boy, Astro, Pickle Rick, Sebastian, Simple Sigma. All right. So, hey, how are you doing? I'm doing all right. Doing all right. Let's get to a page in which we will be drawing on. I had fun with this little drawing earlier. Oh yeah, this is the post from like a day and a half ago. Then this is the post from today. Hey, what's up, Dark Artist? What is up, everyone? Rolling in. And then this is part of a new video coming tomorrow. New video. It's gonna be a chill video, so nothing crazy. Okay, enough of flipping around here. So, because of how I do my sketchbooks, I go through one side all the way first, and then I go through the other side because, as you know, I go through them horizontally for whatever reason. I don't know why I do this, but since I do that, that means all the pages after I finish one side, they're all sitting on the previous side. So some of them end up getting like little marks from this page onto my clean page. So I have to erase them sometimes. So that's what that was. But it never stays on there. It's pretty easily erased. Hey, what's up? 33 people in here. All right, let's get some drawing. What am I drawing? I have no idea what I'm drawing. I don't know, man. I'm just gonna start like drawing someone chilling here, maybe with their hands behind their head. Which you'll so I've been doing this like more so gesture-ish kind of shape stuff first lately, and you guys will see it more tomorrow in the real-time video, the chill real-time video that I'm putting out on the main channel of a full-on drawing. But I kind of like gesture it out now, and then I kind of go over top, depending on over top a little harder with the finished drawing. Alright, let's, instead of trying to rack my brain over what this is, hey, what's up, anonymous donor? Has Hiro Mashima had an influence on your work? No. I did have his first volume of Rave Master, but his actual work has never really had any deep effect on my actual like drawing and stuff. Mostly because that's the only volume of his I own 2 volumes of Fairy Tail, but other than that, I never really got into any of his series. Not saying they're bad or anything, I just never really got into them. I just never like took the chance to get into it. I watched some of Fairy Tail at one point, but that's when I was already like super into, like, I was reading so many other manga that I just stuck with those. But sadly, no, he hasn't really been much of an influence on me. But his artwork's really good. If I would have to say my biggest influences, which, you know, it's funny, like some artists have some like pride sense to them where they don't want to uh, publicly say, unless it's on some sort of big stage, what their influences are. And I've seen some people blatantly uh, try to shy away from not saying their influences, which is so weird. Like, it's like they're ashamed of it. I don't know. Like, everyone's influenced by somebody. Like, come on now. But yeah, my biggest influences are Kishimoto, Takushi Obata, and Horikoshi is probably the more recent one. Alright, so let's go ahead and try to figure out something to put on this character. I don't want to put on anything crazy. Should I go... Right now I'm not really catching anything in my mind to put on him. I could just go same old, not think about too much, put some sort of emblem here, do this. Have it be like one of those little, kind of, what do you even call them? They're pretty much just like capes, but it's not a cape. There's a name for them. How did you first learn how to break down anatomy and make it look organic while in perspective? How did I first learn it? So basically I learned how to draw a lot of basic shapes in perspective, and I learned how to break down the body into those basic shapes and put those in perspective. Now, when I did that, I was learning perspective as my full-on base, which you need that base, and your artwork will start feeling stiff because you won't understand gesture as much, but you having the foundation of understanding things with understanding the rules that create the illusion of 3D of 3D depth on a 2D canvas. Knowing those rules are extremely important even for gesture, because without gesture, like, gesture is not going to mean much if you don't know how to truly put it into perspective, like an actual, like, use those rules, you know? So basically my answer is I had a basic understanding at one point, like super basic, of perspective. I thought I knew it well enough. Turns out I didn't, and I learned perspective really hardcore, practiced it for like only perspective for 2 weeks. And I'm talking about like even like some really just simplified body shapes in perspective, like these normal ones that I always do. I was practicing these in perspective as well as I started off with much more simple shapes too. But for like 2 weeks straight, I already had an all right understanding and enough hand control that I was able to get pretty far in 2 weeks. I'm not saying the same thing will happen to you, because it really matters where you are in your art journey. Because if you're more intermediate and don't have enough hand control, that's going to play a factor in your process too. Because if you don't have enough hand control, or what we would call draftsmanship, then you're going to be fighting against two things. One, learning perspective. Two, you're going to be fighting against learning how to control your pencil well enough to have it go in the direction you want it to go. So draftsmanship, something to, it's very important. And then on top of that, so basically I learned perspective really hardcore. I felt my stuff was super stiff, right? So what I did from there was I went and did gesture. So if you don't know what gesture is, you could also look it up and just look it up in videos. You doing gesture on the side here and there while doing the perspective stuff isn't a bad idea, but that's what loosened me up from these more kind of structured shapes. So gesture would be like, getting it really loose and just doing something, crazy, and or you're looking at a reference and gesturing it out and trying not to think too much about perspective, because if you have learned your perspective, it's going to be okay to move to this and then kind of also still practice your perspective as well so you don't forget it, but you then can loosen up. So that's the best way. And if you can see it here, this is shaped in a way where this gesture is, here's the neck, this is the head, this is that chest piece, here's the circle. So I gestured all that out like that to loosen myself up, but I can go in and now do this stuff. So of course this isn't the best. Hey, what's up, Young Wavy? Not much. I got a super chat from Jojo. Look at that. Kuzo Sensei, who are you publishing by with if it's out? You're probably talking about Bounty's Gate. Oh yeah, you said BG right after that. So it's just I'm not publishing it specifically with anyone. I'm putting it on to Webtoons, and then from there, if I do go to any publisher, I would go from there. But as it stands, I'm not like specifically publishing it with anyone. I'm kind of just going with the flow currently. All right, what kind of hair do I want to do on this character? I'm gonna be for this stream, I'm gonna have my Pinterest off to the side, and I'm gonna be kind of looking at some stuff and doing what a lot of concept artists do, where they kind of take from other images, like several different images, to create one. This pose wasn't from anything on Pinterest or even inspired. I just thought of someone with their hands behind their head. So, and I don't want to show what I'm showing on Pinterest, because every once in a while a more so, I wouldn't say completely nude, but a little bit provocative picture might show up, because I look up anatomy stuff and YouTube will hit me for that. So that's why I'm not going to have it over here, or else I wouldn't care. I think I'm going to go with the dude version of kind of the chick that I do sometimes. But what should I do with the hair? Should I make it kind of? Actually, it's going to kind of look like Eilden, which is a character of mine. I think I might have just bumped the camera. This music, what it reminds me of, this specific song kind of sounds like something you would hear in like Crash Bandicoot. Don't want to upset YouTube? No, you don't. Let us monkeys see. I don't think. Nah, I don't want to take any chances. So now this is how here, I think I could show you this. Okay, so this is how concept artists come up with a lot of stuff. So I see this shape right over here. So this is something I saw on Pinterest. I don't know who this is. I don't know if maybe Tara, I don't know, maybe from Deviant Art. I don't know what this is. Pinterest, it's how it is. So look at this. I'm making a sword, but I'm making it the shape of this, which is not a sword in his picture. It's a piece of wood. So I was like, you know what? That would be cool as a sword shape, not even close to what this is, a piece of wood. I mean, I could have even made a sword the shape of this here, or even a sword that is the shape of this, taking inspiration, or for example, you could take that and then make an axe out of it. Like, this is how concept artists work. They take shapes from things that aren't even related to something else and then make a whole weapon out of it. Or, you know, they make other things out of it. For example, I could have made that into a necklace. I could have made that into a belt buckle. I could have made that into part of a boot. I could have made that part of a bow and arrow. Like, you take shapes that aren't even related to specific things and you turn them into something else. That's how you use inspiration. Where did you get inspiration for that sword? Yeah, I literally copied Cloud's sword. They're like, that's not inspiration, that's plagiarism. The sword that defies blacksmith law. I would say that's most fantasy swords, because I'm pretty sure most swords can't project electricity or water or wind or change shape, or, you know, for example, I'm saying Inuyasha, Demon Slayer, Bleach. But that's how fantasy is, you know? But that's what's so cool about it. You could do whatever. You just have to have some sort of explanation on why. Like, it doesn't even have to be like the best explanation. It just has to be like, because guess what, people have powers. Like, basically someone could have had a water sword in Naruto, and which I'm pretty sure there was a freaking shark sword in Naruto, and they're like, why? Because ninjas. Ninja. You cannot swing a sword that big like a stick. Yeah, well, I mean, you can't swing most swords in anime unless it's like your traditional katana or like some medieval sword. I mean, if we wanted to go by that logic, they should throw out Final Fantasy right now. That's what's so great about fantasy. When you draw like really big items, and it's funny, someone will come on your post and be like, bro, you can't even lift that. And I'll be like, that's because it's not us, it's a drawing. Funny stuff. It's the internet's hilarious. You just gotta learn how to laugh at it, because I mean, what else are you gonna do? You get hurt? You know, that means I should probably throw out most of Dark Souls too, as well, and Bloodborne. All those swords are not unhumanly possible to hold. See if I can get this. Stance feels a little off, is what I'm trying to work on. I should have worked on the stance a little bit more before I started putting on detail. Yeah, I mean, that's good enough. It is what it is. Alright. What is everyone saying? My favorite sword is Titus sword of Final Fantasy X. I don't know what the X is, probably Roman numeral that I don't know. No, those are my favorite games. Yeah, no. You should also throw out Neo too, as well. Neo 1, Neo 2, God of War, uh, pretty much every fantasy game that doesn't involve, yeah, you know, like those pretty much real life simulators. Like like most shooter games that aren't like Modern Warfare or like Call of Duty, because they have guns that are like unrealistically big and impossible to make because most of them are aliens. Oh yes, ninjas. Any tips on drawing arms? I actually sarcastically went over that in the last stream, but the best thing is to think of it as this part of your arm. This is the top part. So small, medium, big. As for the shape, this one from the front is about that. This is, you know, about that. It's just like a, you want to think more oval, but this one is like this shape. You want to go, it's bigger on one side. It's just like this shape here. Oh. But yeah, big, medium, small, and then this connects here, and then you got this muscle here, then you got a muscle back here. I create some random bump there for no apparent reason, and then yeah, go down like that. That's the best advice I have for arms. If Marvel hired you as a comic artist for a couple of issues, what's the title that you would want to work on? Marvel. I would probably say Spider-Man, only because I'm a little bit more. I would be able to play around with really dynamic poses, like really dynamic poses. Other than that, I think like Iron Man would be really cool. Like if I had free reign over like a whole new a design of armor for him, or like the ratios in which I can make the armor pieces and kind of put more of an anime spin on the armor pieces. Not like mech, but a more slimmed down version that's more kind of more Metroid-esque, you know, like that. That would be really fun, I think. Oh, yeah, people be really liking those new posts I do with all the hands and stuff sticking towards us. These hands, people like. This one isn't as dynamic as the ones in my newest drawings, but there's some people who have been taking issue with me saying they're warm-up sketches or warm-up drawings. It's like I kind of don't know what to tell you. If they really are like first drawings of the day, I'm still warming up before I go on to like doing my manga and stuff. I don't know what to tell you. I guess people don't think that warm-up sketches could turn out good because some of them turn out bad. I mean, if you know how to draw something, you know how to draw something, but I don't know. It's be Spider-Man, Iron Man, and Doctor Strange for me. That'd be cool, Jordy. how much time did you spend learning perspective? Still learning it and perfecting it. But, by the way, we have 91 people in here. Good to see everybody. We got 72 likes. We've been going 24 minutes already? Jeez, man. Hand to tutorial. I'm going to be doing a tutorial for hands on my Patreon for sure. I'm going to also be doing at least hand practice pages coming up soon on the main YouTube channel, where I am going to be just chilling there practicing hands. And for those of you who are willing to like really look at what I'm doing when I'm doing those hands, I'm not going to explain everything on it, but that's kind of okay. So those people who can't get my Patreon, I do my practice videos for those types of people, because those videos, if you actually watch it, it's just not me telling you what I'm doing, but if you watch the construction of how I create the hands, that is quite literally how I make the hands. So I could be giving tips, but if I'm drawing hands and you see me create something first, well, what is that? That's the simplified base of what I'm going to be creating for the hands. What am I doing here? I'm kind of blocking in something. Is that a thumb? How did I block in that thumb? What shapes am I using? What direction is this hand going? So this is the whole thing about drawing. You want to become good at drawing, you have to ask these questions to yourself. And being a good problem solver is quite literally the best way to become good at anything in life. That's why good schools try to teach critical thinking nowadays. They try to teach you how to figure it out, not just tell you the answer. Because someone who's good at memorizing, you might think, wow, that person's so smart because they can memorize any number that they hear. But how do they utilize that? There are people who are really good at memorizing things they hear, but yet if they memorized all the numbers, they wouldn't know how to maybe do 1 + 1 unless they're told that thing, what's 1 + 1, then they can memorize that number, so they would be good in that way. There's a difference between having a memory bank. It's like, for example, this is a good example. It's like the difference between having a hard drive and having that has information on it, and then having an AI. That's the completely different. And that's the point I'm trying to make. Hard drive information on it. That hard drive doesn't have any brain to actually. So IQ is actually based on how well you're able to solve problems. It's not actually based on your memorization, for the most part. But I will be doing hand practices on my YouTube channel, and I do a lot of, like I said, I do a lot of those practices because you can learn a lot just by watching someone do something. That's what happened to me. I watched people like Kim Jong-gi. I would sit there and practice perspective, and also just watch him draw in perspective, and my mind started understanding things a little bit more in depth with like 3D stuff in depth, because I was watching him create it in a specific perspective, and I watched him like how he foreshortened something, and it was super interesting. Hey Kuzo, what's the longest you have ever went without drawing, and did it make you better? No. 1, it did not make me better. 2, I think the longest I've gone without drawing is about 2 weeks. And it was during some of the times when I started having my health issues, like about 2 years ago. And there was a few times where I didn't draw for almost 2 weeks. And I mean, it hurt me a lot. So yeah, I mean, okay, you might be getting at the fact that having breaks, yes, having breaks is a good thing if you're burnt out. But at the same time, it doesn't mean you have to take a month break. It doesn't mean you have to take, a week's break, 5 days break. You could take 1 day break. You could take a few hours break. For example, as a full-time artist, one of my favorite ways to manage my time and keep myself fresh is by drawing for a few hours, stopping, going, laying down, maybe going for a walk, but mostly what I do is I go lay down on my bed and I go scroll through some social media or watch something fun, nothing that's going to make me mad or think too hard. And I just kind of rest my mind for about 5-10 minutes, and then I go back to drawing. And this way it keeps me from burning out, because you can easily get into a tumbleweed like effect where you feel like you should keep drawing, but you're having a really hard time. You don't stop. So what happens is you end up rolling into you getting more and more frustrated, and then it starts looking worse and worse, and you just get more and more mad, which makes you more uninspired because you're mad that it's not turning out well, and then you keep on going, and then yeah, it's just watch out for that. That's never good. Sometimes, even though our pride makes us want to stay at that desk, sometimes, and this has happened to me a lot, the best thing you can do is take a step back for like 15 minutes, an hour, go read a manga, watch an anime, something like that, you know, and then come back and see how you feel about it. And really, like, some really high level professionals, you know, recommend this type of stuff too. So it's not just me saying this. What are we going to do here? Oh. I don't really like this drawing. I'm going to be real. I do not like this drawing so far. Yeah, not a big fan of it. Oh well. Sometimes you win some, sometimes you lose some. I mean, I don't mind the sword idea. Sword idea is not too bad, not too shabby. As I continue going on it. I don't like this. Let me keep on going. Thinking it's going to make it look better or something like that. OMG, that's what I'm going through right now. Yeah, it can be a really bad ball rolling down, a bad cycle to get into. So just be careful. And it can happen to the best of us. So everybody's different. So that's what I'm saying. Like, just because you're having a hard time and you feel burnt out doesn't mean you have to take a break for like a month or 2 weeks. If you've been going really hard for years and you're like working at a really high professional level and it's your full-time job, yeah, you might need like eventually, you know, a month's break or something, or like a 2-week break, like, you know, as a vacation, not necessarily specifically a break, but, you know, a vacation, because you get those in normal jobs too. And it doesn't even mean during that vacation you're actually stopping drawing. It just means you stop the expectation of full-on work, like full-on professional like work. Because most artists, I think, during any breaks, they still get some sketching done and drawing. They probably mostly work on their own types of projects. And if their own projects are already what they work on, they might just do some free drawing, just something that makes them feel, you know, like a kid again. This one's weird. I don't really like it. I also don't like the gesture on it. Hey, what's up, Skeeter McBeater, Skeet McBeat Beat with the super chat. If studies are all I have time for, are they good for all types of practice, perspective, proportion, placement, line control? Line control, studies can help line control if you're specifically going into the study for that. Because if you're going into something as a master study, and what I mean by that is like you're studying something that's really good and you're trying to actually copy it exactly, it might not help you with all of those things because you're focusing on all those things at once, which means that's a lot for your mind to process. Sometimes if you notice one thing you need to work on more so than others, you can do studies specifically based on those things, and you'll get further, especially if it's something that you know it's a weak point in your drawing. As for studies like line control, I would say the best thing is kind of what I've shown before, where you do stuff like this or different directions or actual trying to do like almost perfect circles, filling up whole pages and like this type of stuff, and you know, thick to thin to thick, and then you know, thin, thick, thin, stuff like that. That's better for line control. But if you're, studies are really good for understanding the piece, especially master studies, the whole piece. But if you're also going for pose, it might not be so good to add in any clothes. That didn't mean to rhyme, but yeah. But studies are very good, but it's always good to do some studies, and once you get the chance, try to go and apply some of those things that you learned from those studies in your own work, or even try to draw that study without looking at it at some other point. The thing that you were specifically studying in that study, try to draw it without looking at it at some other point. Doesn't matter if it's in the same session or the next day, because guess what? If you did it a few times in one session, then the next day you try it without looking at it or something. What you're doing is you're trying to recall the information that you were putting into your brain. And if you did it correctly the day before, or at least did it correctly at one point, it's going to be a little foggy the next day. But if you try it and then go and look at it again, you're going to start solidifying those things slowly but surely. But once again, thank you again for the super chat. Do you ever study old one-shots from popular manga creators? It's very humbling and inspiration. Probably inspiring. But not recently. I have in the past, though, studied it a lot, like other one-shots. I have definitely done that. Why do I draw so much better when when my stream's on? I don't know. How do you draw arms? Actually, that's kind of what I showed earlier on in the stream, but this is the general idea. Medium, small, medium, big, and these are the shapes you do them in. And this is the whole thing here. What's up, Tono? What's up, everyone jumping in here? We got 127 people in. Good to see everybody. And we got 99 likes. Something doesn't fit here. I'm really struggling with drawing heads in the anime manga style. Anyone have any tips? Says Hearst Boys. Here's the thing. I was actually going to create a drawing anime face for beginners video, just to throw out a beginners video for the heck of it during like the week or weekend or something, just to throw in between some of my other videos. So there's like, I can do like maybe 3 videos a week, or like 2. But I was thinking about doing one of those again, just because I know a lot of new people have come to my channel, which means some of them may not have looked through all of my videos. But the basic general concept of that is this is the head from the front. Small little wedge here, create a triangle down here, create a dome up here, bam, you have an anime head with some eyes. Now what happens is, I actually have a video on this, you tilt this wedge even more, you make this smaller, you make the dome a little bigger. What does that give you? It gives you a younger, more anime styled head. Now this is the full base of it, and your eyes are essentially either a little above the midline or at the midline of this wedge. And then from there, your mouth is essentially right there at the bottom of the wedge, and then you have your nose, head for you there. I was drawing skulls. That's always a good thing. I like your shirt. Bam! My Hero. This is the only My Hero shirt I own. Despite you not liking the drawing much, the clothes are really epic. Well, thank you. Thank you. I can't pinpoint exactly what I don't like about it. I think it's just an accumulation of like a few things. That the pose, just some of the drawing, just something about it just is not sitting well with me. Like, I would never actually finish this one now. But I mean, the general concept, I think it would be fine if I were to make the pose better, maybe think about the face a little harder. Let me tilt this again. I think I kept on hitting it with my head. And then zoom in just a little bit more here. There we go. All right. Do you use 3-point perspective on your manga? Yeah, when I have to, but typically it's always like 1 or 2. 3-point is, I mean, it can happen when you do backgrounds. It's better to keep backgrounds simple, keep it with 2-point perspective. Sometimes I'll do a very simple version of 3-point perspective. When I say simple, I mean, let's say we have, this is our panel. We have a vanishing point here, vanishing point here. Ooh, that's our panel, and then basically what I'll do is ever so slightly do this. Now this is the third point, which means we're looking slightly downwards, and sometimes I'll do that because it adds more flavor to the scene. My cat just sat on my sketchbook. But yeah, this is kind of what I would do, is something that add a little bit more flavor to the scene, because now we get to come in here and we don't have just completely straight lines for some of this stuff. For some of the what you'd be considering the vertical lines, I guess you could say, because I mean you don't really have any specific horizontal lines. I mean, you do if you go towards the horizon line, but you see how this makes it more dynamic, right? But I mean, doing that all the time would look really weird, to be honest. If you look at most manga, it's like 1 or 2 point perspective. You want to go a little bit more dynamic, throw in that third point. Hands, the basic of it is really just wedge, another wedge here, and then your fingers. They're essentially little sausages put together in order to make fingers, and then I'll come in and I would clean that up. And there's your hand roughly. That's how I do it. And if you're saying how to draw them in perspective, those are all simplified shapes. Now, learning how to draw them in a specific style, that's a whole different story. But those shapes can literally be taken into any perspective. This is the wedge. Let's put the thumb wedge on the other side. Now, we got these cylinders. We're going to have 4 of them. Of course, you're going to want to know, like, the stuff like this. Middle knuckle's always biggest, like, furthest up. It just knowing this type of stuff. And if you wanted to, you could even do this right there. And now you already know where the ending of that is going to be. And then you could do this, 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 and then bam, you have a hand there. This is the general concept of it. And of course, I know this is still very hard, and that's hands are hard. I tell people, this is what I say. I say, if you know how to draw hands well, the body should come real easy, because hands are just about as hard to draw as the full human anatomy, in my opinion. This looks kind of wonky. The thumb should have been down more, because if you look at your hand, if it's relaxing, the thumb is down. I drew the thumb as if it was all the way up like this, so that was my mistake there. So this thumb shouldn't even show up, actually. Let's just, almost shouldn't show up. So something to keep in mind there. Those are little things to keep in mind. I messed up. I messed up. Dumb thumb. But yeah, seriously though, hands, there are way more moving parts, in my opinion, to hands than there are in the human body. Like the normal human body. I'm talking about like head, arms, legs. Because you're looking at this, and you're moving them around like a little puppet, and your arms, they only move one direction here. Like, you're not going to be snapping your arm backwards. It only moves like this, and you move it like this. You can move it back too, and guess what? It still only does the same thing. There's only a certain amount of motion. Your fingers, on the other hand, yes, they all can only go one direction, but guess what? This one can go up, this one can go down, this one can go down. Then we got like other different hand shapes, and it's insane. Where can I check the manga? I don't know if you're talking about my manga, but my manga is not out quite yet. My brain is melting. We're at 24 minutes. Let's see what else I can draw here. What else can I draw and should I draw is the question. What should I draw and what can I draw? I can draw anything, but the should I is what we need to know. Backhead. Like an alien's. like an alien's. I said the back head is like an alien's. Do we know what an alien's back head looks like? No. No, okay? We don't. It looks like the concept of the back of an alien's head created from humans that isn't even real. There you go. Do you have to be so specific, Kuzo? Yes! No, okay. This is so chill. Good to hear. Draw a tank in 3-point perspective. I'd rather not. First of all, I have to look at a tank. But this is a 3-point perspective, and technically you could just start doing this, and bam, there you go. You have a tank. Woo. There. You got this, you can draw anything. Well, there you go. All right. What's up, Lord Duck? Or Duck Lord. Well, there goes my dyslexia. Someone says, must be, not criticizing anyone, must be rough to be an artist, YouTuber, streamer, as you probably get tons of repetitive questions on how to draw things. I mean, not gonna lie, yeah. I mean, it happens. I'm not gonna discourage anyone from asking a question that has probably already been asked. Because like this one, like the hand one, or the arm one, and the hand one was asked twice in the stream already. But that's on top of like, it happens more than, like, you know, I do more than one stream, you know, a week. So it happens, but I mean, sometimes, obviously, the life of a streamer, sometimes it's kind of hard. With that, I mean, it's not hard, but I'm saying towards the end of a stream when you're like really tired, but because it's a little different than gaming. Like gaming, for example, you get a bunch of people where you might read a few things in chat here and there, but they're not asking you for tutorials on how to do something. So it is a little bit more taxing, but like I said, I wouldn't discourage anyone from asking. I did a little bit of a study again last night. Oh, did you see that yellow? See the yellow square? It's recognizing it as a face. So it's following it. That's funny. I think Kuzo doesn't just respond with "go look it up." You know, I mean, here's the thing. I mean, it's not completely invalid to do that, but at the same time, it's a little, in some cases, disrespectful. But it's some of the people who do that might just be too young. Like, I'm not. yeah, because here's the thing, I know that the people who are asking those questions are most likely younger artists, like much younger artists. Like, for example, when someone tries to tell me I have same face syndrome, I I don't care anymore because I know that they're a little ignorant, and not necessarily in a bad way. They literally just don't know that I know how to draw other faces. I mean, and they're just being rude for like trying to say that to someone that's obviously on. This is why, like, if you know you're here, you're not gonna argue with someone who doesn't know. Yeah, ignorance is bliss. Anyways, this one was a fun sketch. I did a gesture and then I went and sketched over the anatomy. Maybe we should try that real quick here. Just another one for fun. Let's think of a gesture. Let's think of a gesture. That one's almost similar to that one. It's like a fist one. All right, let's give it a shot. Because let me tell you, when I was like 21, 20, 18, I did not like that stuff. But like I said, you get used to it. And you know when, you know what you know. You know what you know. And then you learn that, oh, some people are just rude. And then you just laugh at it. But, like I've said before, there are some criticisms that I take seriously, even if they're being completely, like, irrationally mean, and you're just like, guess what? That person was just completely rude. But if I look deep inside myself and ask myself, is this an actual problem, even if they're being mean? And if it is, I fix it. I don't validate them being mean to me, but I fix it myself. But like I said, same face syndrome thing, I just laugh at, because that's, I've looked at that before, and the moment I was able to laugh at that was when I remember specifically the specific comment that this happened on, and I looked at it, and I was like, but I don't. I was like, I know I don't. I was like, I legitimately don't. Like, I can draw realistic faces, and I was like, huh. I was like, that their comment doesn't matter to me. I was like, huh. It's always a good place to get to, you know? Uh, by the way, that's also a little thing, that just that whole little rant thing that I went on there. It's also meant for like people who are upcoming as artists and growing fast, because it can really affect you if you grow from 1,000 to 20,000 in only 3-4 months. If you do that, you're going to be exposed to something that you haven't been exposed to, and it can be toxic sometimes, and it's hard when you go that fast into it. So just take some of that stuff, hopefully, to heart. Just look at some comments here. I'll be back. Is he flipping someone off? No, but that would be funny. No, I was thinking more of like that kind of like Irish stance, that Irish pose, where they're like, that's what I thought of in my head. Now, obviously, with this one, I went much looser. And a lot of the reason why I was able to probably do it a lot more smoothly and looser is probably because I wasn't talking about a bunch of stuff at once. That's something definitely to keep in mind is a lot of the stuff, if I'm over here talking while I'm doing it, my brain is working on trying to think about what I'm telling you guys at the same time as drawing. So my mind's gonna be doing a little bit more extra work, and there's gonna be a little bit more lines. Unlike if I were to stop talking, I would be able to fully focus just on this, and I would be doing a lot less lines, a lot less sketching. That is one benefit of being less interactive. But being interactive gives you 140 people in here. Good to see everybody. 150 likes. Come at me, man. Give it. Yeah. Pretty much. They're saying, come. For people who aren't watching this live, the comment was, come at me, man. Give it all you got, laddie. And then it says in Irish. Sometimes I forget that there's like 3,000 people who watch this after the stream, and sometimes they're not watching, like they're watching it full screen and they don't have the comments on, the live comments on it. So all they're getting is just me saying half of something, not in context at all. I stopped saying a lot of the names in which, unless there's a reason why I should say the name, I stopped saying a lot of the names during reading someone's comments because it helps me be able to kind of just read them a little easier without saying everyone's names, because I'm also horrible at reading names. So don't be lazy. Come on. Draw the fingers. Punish yourself, Kuzo. Draw the fingers. Draw the thumb. Sometimes you gotta tell yourself, stop it. I was about to do the lazy thing and just like create blobs, which it kind of looks like a blob. Let's be real here. But typically you can tell when someone's a good person, and if they stream for a while, like constantly for a while, and then also stream for hours during a day, and towards the end of it, they're not like a complete just, they're just so mean. That's typically when you know what kind of person they are, because, I've had bad days during streams. I've been snappy during streams sometimes too. Some of it's just sarcastic funness, but yeah, your true self can come out, especially when you're just like streaming a lot and then for hours. It eventually comes out somewhere. Which the one good thing for me is I typically wear my heart on my sleeve as much as I can, except the only difference between wearing my heart on my sleeve and compared to some people of this generation is there's a difference between doing that and being who you are as a person and complaining all the time on the internet or sharing personal stuff that really shouldn't be shared on like social media all the time. There's a difference between that. Because I could still be who I am without sitting here complaining about all the bad things that happened to me today or stuff like that. I like to try to keep this art related and social media artist related. Hey, have you seen the new Matrix trailer? I have not. I've seen that. I haven't seen it, but I saw like a post or something about the fact that it's coming. It's coming. Yeah, that's gonna be pretty cool. Hopefully it's cool. You know, like, actually, I guess this is the last thing I'm going to say about the whole streaming thing and nice people is sometimes they'll clip something from Ninja saying something like, oh, he snapped at somebody. And I'll be like, dude, this guy streams for like hours a day. And you're telling me these are the little nitpicky things you're going to be able to get from him streaming for hours a day. I'm going to have to say he's probably, on his own time, a pretty good person. Like... Then again, there are some people that are just really good at tricking people, but I'm thinking he's a pretty average good person. Like, for example, what they try to do to PewDiePie, and they clip him out of context, and it's like, yeah, okay. Exactly. People overreact. Yeah, I agree. How do you personally do your studies? Me, I do my studies. Actually, these are studies over here. Some of them are pretty bad, actually. That's a study as well. This was not a master study. I think what a master study is it is technically a study of a master, but what do you classify as a master? Like, I don't know, the person who this is like a realistic this was a real person that I did it from, so it wasn't a painting or anything. But this, yeah. So this was obviously not supposed to be photorealistic. What I was focusing on was basic lighting here and placement. I was trying to get the placement of the eyes in comparison to the nose and the mouth. Get the ratios correctly. But so it really depends on what I'm doing. So obviously this wasn't meant to be a full on. Oh, I don't have it here. I did a bunch of other sketches on another piece of paper. But yeah, I do my studies based on the things that I'm trying to get better at. So if I'm trying to get better at a specific pose, I'm going to go ahead or specific angled poses, I might find some of those, and when I do find them, I'm not going to sit around looking for them, but if I do find them, I'm like, oh, I'm pretty bad at this pose. Here, let me do some studies of this pose. Or I'd be like scrolling through Instagram, Instagram too, but Pinterest, and I'd be like, oh, that wrinkle in that clothing is very interesting. I haven't done that before. Let me study this and copy this, over a few times over again, and have it in my sketchbook, and then try to redo it a few days later, or a few hours later, or the next day, stuff like that. And that's kind of how I go about my studies now. And when you're first trying to study, the biggest things you need to focus on are direction. Direction, shape, perspective/form. Yeah, basically. Yeah. Direction, shape, and perspective/form. So what I mean by this is let's go to this random drawing. Don't know whose this is. Looks pretty cool to me. And I'll give you a quick rundown, which I have a full thing that I actually show people on my Patreon about how I actually study. So you can see the drawing rubbed off from this page. By the way, for those of you who have been around for my my arc of not getting my sketchbook from the mail. Guess what? Still haven't gotten it. What? Good morning, says Aldison. Well, good morning to you. I am at night. Among Us, says Meraki. Which Meraki also says some things in Japanese I don't know. Gonna grab something to eat, said Kosh. That means we're gonna leave right now, so we're not here when he gets back. Shh. Okay. I'm new to the world of art and drawing. I was wondering if you had any tips to keep myself motivated to at least draw something every day. Your streams are awesome, by the way. Much love. Well, thank you very much, Brad. And I don't have any tips for motivation. Motivation is, it comes in all shapes and sizes for different people. Different things motivate different people, like for real. It really does. The things you watch, the things you draw, depending on what stage you are in your life, there's a lot of things that can vary. I would say try to work as much as you can. Try not to get depressed. If there's things that you like, focus on the things that you like, but the things that make you get better at drawing are the fundamentals. So work on the fundamentals as studies and stuff like that for a certain amount of time a day, and as long as you can handle it. I said you as in as long as you can handle it, but on top of that, you want to always remind yourself why you love to draw or why you love specifically that type of art, and keep going with that. Okay, anyways, so I say direction, shape direction. So what I mean by that is I could draw the head like this for this guy, shape and direction, because this is the first thing you need to know in order to be able to even create the piece. You need to be able to get it going the right directions, right? So, okay, so I got the head going that direction. We got the shape here. Now, boom. I have this torso, direction, and we're just doing like super rudimentary shapes. Direction, shape-ish. Now we got this as a direction, this as a direction. So now we have all these directions in also relation to each other. Is this handle touching that foot? No. What shape, what's the empty space that is creating right there? Bam, we got the empty space. So we are roughly creating, does this touch the curve of the knee? No, it's right above the curve of the knee. So what are we looking at? Actually, this is creating upward trajectory. So it's gonna be more like this. So let's, but it gets big. There we go. Boom. This is the first thing you need to even be able to do. Let's be real here. You need to even just be able to do this to create, and you notice the whole pose is doing this roughly. That's one thing to keep in mind. You need to be able to do this to even be able to get to the rest of it. This is direction. So you're getting directions of basic shapes of the whole image. Now, what do? Form/perspective. Form and perspective are together in its own way, because without actual perspective, form doesn't even exist, technically. So what direction is this moving towards us, like in perspective and form? We're looking at a cylinder moving towards us like this roughly. Now this cylinder is also moving that way. This is, it's almost moving, it's not moving down completely. There we go, and then that one is moving down. This one's also moving down. This is definitely moving down. This is why perspective is important for you to learn it. Still going down. There we go. This is moving towards us. This is moving towards us. These are form lines. Now, if I were to start going in here with, now we also got the head though. Let's do this form line here. This is the first steps to studying. And then from there, you're obviously going to be creating everything else, where you're creating the shapes of things in relation to each other. Is this touching the shoulder? No, it's not touching that side of the shoulder, but that means my shoulder should be in a little bit more. All this is converging right here in this middle line. We got this here. I'm not going to do this whole study, but that's the general concept of it. Got 158 people in here. Good to see everybody. Goodbye. Bye, Kuzo. Gotta eat dinner. Oh, thank you for dropping by and staying here, Tuno. Have a good dinner, man. Or chick. Do you give critiques on people's drawings? Not specifically. Third does. He does open critique for people, and he's really good too. He has a Discord. You'd have to go to his stuff and find his Discord. I do not do public critiques. I might try it someday, but not right now. And then on top of that, I might someday do a public critique of that came off, of Patreon drawings. But I also have that thing going on with my most recent video where it's called Your Art Sucks, and I critique submitted artworks from my Patreons. But I think once I launch my Discord, I think I am going to do every once in a while a Patreon exclusive stream. Well, the stream's going to be public, but it's going to be Patreon exclusive critiques. Anyways, what do you think about the new Static Shock and comic mixing with the manga style? I haven't really seen much of it. I mean, is there a manga artist doing it? I mean, I've seen a couple things, but I don't really see any of them like really manga style, but I mean, I guess there's some influence. Like, mixing the two, there's a difference between slight influence and some, I don't know. I've never really been, I remember watching the show, which I liked when I was a kid, but I don't really read too many comics. Like Spider-Man and stuff, I hardly keep up with, like, I think I've only watched 2 or 3 of the Avenger movies. I'm not a huge comic book fan, even when it comes to the, like, MCU universe. But, I mean, if they did with any comic book, I think that would be cool. Now, here's the thing. Let's be real about this. They have finally done something that might be cool, where Studio Trigger is actually creating a Star Wars anime series. Yes. Now, see, that's dope, because what they did was they didn't try to mix the styles. What they did was they went full anime style, but Star Wars. I think the mixing of the two is very hard to do, and it can be done though. But I think that's super cool that Studio Trigger's doing that. I think you might be talking about Nicholas, right? That's probably who you're talking about, Young Wavy. Yeah, I think I knew who you're talking about with the manga style in the anime, or the manga with comics with Static Shock. Oh yeah, you just said it. Yeah. But in any case, no, I haven't really kept up with the Static Shock stuff. Ew, Star Wars, says Skeeter McBeater. Get out of here. What? I like Star Wars, alright? I like Star Wars. Even the newer ones were okay. I know there were some like really cringy spots in it, but in general, it was pretty alright. Like I had fun with it. I'm not gonna. Anyways, I should draw. What am I doing? Just having a full-on conversation with you guys. Let's do this. Let's do this. I kind of saw an image I like on this side. I want to kind of replicate it upside down. It's going to be this little one, this kind of exaggerated shape of perspective. See, I like Star Wars too. Yeah. Disney ruined your childhood, says Scooter McBeater. I'm not saying it's great, because in no means was it great, but my childhood had a lot of the original, okay, not original, it had a lot of the like newer stuff, like episode 1. See, that has a home for me. I know there was a lot of people that were like, episode 1, 2, and 3 sucked, and I was just like, I don't know, that was my childhood. So I mean, and Dragon Ball Z, but I'm saying like in the Star Wars universe, that was my introduction to Star Wars, and those kind of have a special place in my heart. You know, I think they should go heavier on the idea. If they're gonna make a manga or like a comic style of a manga, I think they should go like full manga style. I think that would be cool. Like how what they're doing a Trigger. I think that would be really cool because I saw one manga that was of Star Wars, and it looked really strange. like I remember seeing it on a shelf somewhere, and I was like, huh? Like I saw a gender bend, which doesn't matter because it was actually done really well. It was a gender bend of Iron Man, Iron Woman in this case, but it was anime style, like full anime style, and it was on Twitter. It looked so cool. I thought it looked really cool. Like, hold on, let me see if I can find it. It looks so cool. I was like, yes, please, because I think I hearted it. Yeah. So it was like an Iron Man Metroid looking mix. I think that looks tight. By the way, the artist is. It was posted by this account. I don't know who it is, but specifically. But this is, yeah, totally. That looks. I think that looks super cool. The way they did that. Papa Kuzo. Sorry, when you said Papa, that's what I used to call my grandpa, who is pretty much my father. He's not around anymore, but yeah, when you said that, it just I had like a flashback of like I was like, oh yeah, he's not with us anymore. Uh, Marvel used to do that back in the day, especially with the Wolverine title and X-Men. They haven't have anime adaptations that look really good. I think I know what you're talking about, but I never watched it. I think I know what you're talking about, and my brother's a huge. He's way more into like American comics. The only things he's like introduced to Japanese wise is like Dragon Ball Z and Trigun and like that kind of angsty stuff. But Yeah, I remember him asking me about that if I seen that because he was down for it. I guess like in this case, the reason why I'm so excited is because Studio Trigger's so they're just so known for like insane animations that I'm really excited. Though I do have to say I'm a little skeptical. I do have some skepticism based on the trailer I saw. I almost feel like they might be going overboard with some elements. We'll see, but I almost think they might be kind of missing some cohesiveness in their designs. But we'll see. I might be wrong. Like the way they're doing their designs and how they're merging it, they might be going over the top. But I think they're taking it from the perspective of saying, if we were in Japan and there are Jedis, I think that's what they're trying to do. So it's gonna be interesting to see. I'm from Atlanta? Is that Atlanta timeline? Oh, timeline. Well, where you and I are best friends, but you never say my name out of spite. Long story, better not to ask why. Can you say my name so I can blow your mind in my timeline? Don't know what you're talking about. Very strange, but Johnny Bravo. I don't even think her icon's actually Johnny Bravo. I have returned, says Kosh. Hopefully your meal was good. Will you draw Sabretooth like a comic cover, please? I don't really draw any fan arts right now. I am going to be doing one soon, but I don't know about Sabretooth right now. I do want to one day do a draw like recommendations from my audience. I do want to do a stream like that, so that will be a cool thing. So it'll be like sketch versions of everything. You're too kind. I hope to make a fan review. Don't know what you mean, but I don't know about me, but there's also an anime style comic of Miss Marvel. See, I don't know a lot of this stuff. Like, I guess I'm just like super in the like anime and manga sphere. I don't know too much about that stuff. Cause like, for example, there's a lot of people I follow on Instagram that I don't even see their posts, and I find out they've been posting stuff for months and I've never seen it because I like these anime posts. And when you like something, the algorithm only sends you the things that you're liking and things with those similar hashtags. And I don't even see some of this stuff from people that I've even worked with. So it's kind of weird, to be honest. I definitely think we'll see more of a blend between Eastern and Western animation in the near future, no doubt, especially with anime getting more popular in the West. Oh gosh, yeah, dude, like anime's taking over in the West, and you could just see it from Netflix. You can see it from just everything. Like, nowadays, you're not as much of a nerd for liking My Hero Academia as you would have been, and like, you were a Narutard if you just liked Naruto back in the day. Like, even with Dragon Ball Z, people, you would try not to be the person who liked Dragon Ball Z in high school during my time, and at least publicly. But nowadays, it's you still get, of course, you could still get made fun of in school for that type of stuff because there's just people out there like that. But it's much more widely accepted than it used to be, much more. Because there's people in high school now that ended up growing up as a young kid who was in elementary school not being as worried about social stature growing up in elementary school who watched Attack on Titan or something, and so they had some exposure to anime, and it's like that type of thing, or they're at least exposed to Dragon Ball Z, so it's become a lot more normalized, and the style is much more appealing to children because the simplified shapes and the characters and the structure of the stories just work. People like superheroes, yes, but kids also like something that's relatable. And how are you going to relate to a man that's like 35, 40 years old who's still killing people or capturing people in the streets because their parents got killed? Like, who's relating to that character? They're playing the model. They're playing the person you want to grow up to be, and that's kind of the standpoint they've played from for a long time in American comic books. Only a few that went the teenage route, like Static Shock. I remember watching that, and also like Spider-Man teenage route more so. But a lot of the American comic books were like these 30-year-old men drawing people who are basically them, going out there, you know, drawing themselves as a role model. It's kind of strange. Of course, I'm not saying a person can relate to uh, having a fox demon sealed inside them and their father dying while sealing it inside them. You know, I'm not saying they can relate to that, but they can relate to the fact that they're shunned by people and bullied and maybe didn't have any friends, you know, that type of thing. The kid's not over here like, oh, I can totally relate to living long enough as the hero until you live long enough to become the villain. Very cool quote, but that I completely butchered, by the way. But they're not going to be relating to that as much. And I think that's why a lot of people fell in love with a lot of anime. Although Dragon Ball Z was almost like that thing where all of a sudden they were like adults, children, but it still worked really well because it's just guys beating the crap out of each other. Wasn't much. I don't like this at all. I don't like this pose. It looks horrible. And I've been sitting here talking forever, but I've at least been conversating with you guys. Which, by the way, not knocking comic books at all. Like, I grew up with my fair share of comic books. Well, not comic books per se, but more so the shows. Like Teen Titans, dope. Batman Beyond, dope. I watched some Spider-Man shows. That was fun. What is the best practice method for basically memorization skills? Uh, Practice it while looking at it, then practice it without looking at it, and then make notes about what you did wrong. Also, make notes about what you did wrong when you were looking at it, but then practice it while not looking at it, and then make notes about what you did wrong compared to the one you actually did while looking at it, and also the original image. And then rinse and repeat. Do that over and over again. First of all, you'll eventually memorize that thing that you're trying to study. Two, you will get better at it, and the more you do it, you will memorize it. So if you don't know how to draw a head perfectly from the front, that is the perfect way to learn how to draw a head from the front, because that is that's quite literally the process of memorization, is doing it while knowing it. Basically, if you were trying to memorize a word, they would say, read the word. You read the word, saying that you at least read it correctly. Okay, now say it without looking at it. Say it without looking at it. Say it while looking at it. Say it without looking at it. And then obviously you might go ahead and then try to remember an hour later. If you remember it, good job. If you are like, I you go and look at it, and then you'll be like, okay, and then say it a few times to yourself, and you rinse and repeat with that process, and you'll eventually memorize it. Memorization is the same process with everything. It's just depends on the material that you're doing it with. Oh, I've been drawing all the way off to the side. Jeez. One of my first anime ever watching was Sergeant Frog, says Sleeping Gal. I have never seen Sergeant Frog in anime form, but I've seen the manga in Barnes and Nobles before. By the way, I am going to be getting going here soon. We've been streaming for an hour and 36 minutes. My brain is kind of melting right now. Hey Kuzo, I accidentally got the both of us stuck in your timeline. Can you tell me you forgive me so we can end this petty fight? Don't know what you're talking about, non-actual picture of Johnny Bravo. And you try to draw foreshortening godlike. And I don't know how I'd do that godlike. That's impossible. It's just overlapping shapes. Overlapping shapes. Shapage. Shapage. I don't know. I always like doing stuff like this. Boom, boom, boom. What is that? What is that you say? It's an arm, boys. What? Thumb, finger, finger, finger. And why does this look so appealing? Because angles, different angles. We're moving at different angles. See, this is very stagnant if you look at that one. It's very stagnant. This one looks cool because it's zigzagging. I'm wondering if you can show me how to draw eyes. I'll give you one really quick. By the way, I do have a YouTube video of this, but here we go. Here we go. That's how you draw an eye, because then you just go like this, boom, boom, boom. Anime eye. Every anime eye can fit within any sort of warped version of that geometrical shape. You want to make it wider? Make it wider. What does that create? Oh wow, that's weird. A Deku eye. That's how you draw anime eyes. In perspective, a little bit different. But like I said, I actually have a YouTube video that shows this if you just look it up. It should. Could just look up Kuzomari Hair Draw Eyes. It should show up. But yes, I think I'm gonna be ending the stream here. It was a fun stream. Ranted a few times or more. But Deku says melon fruit. In any case, hopefully you guys liked the stream. Definitely will be streaming again soon. I don't know if I'll be streaming tomorrow or not. We'll see. Keep an eye on my Instagram and Twitter around the same time. It's always within the same 2-hour time frame, typically around 5 MDT, which is Mountain Daylight Time, and 6 MDT. So you can always look that up for your time zone, but it's always around that time frame, and that's when I would be posting whether or not I go live. And also, definitely hit the notification bell, because it'll also notify you if you're not paying attention. Hopefully it will. Sometimes YouTube just doesn't. But in any case, it was super fun. Hopefully we'll get even higher people next time. In any case, see you guys later. Hopefully you have a great day or night wherever you live. And I'm going to have a new video tomorrow on the main channel. So look forward to that. Peace out.